What is up, lovers of budget cars and bikes? Welcome back to the channel. If you're a subscriber, welcome to the channel if you've just come across us. Welcome to the second part, actually, of this series on the Mitsubishi Shogun Pinin. Hopefully you've seen the first video, the first impressions. I'll stick it up here right now, so you can check that out. If you haven't seen this, then just, as I said, go back and have a look at that. That's just a quick 10-minute video, I think, 8-minute video of how it was when it arrived. So obviously this will make more sense if you see that first. Anyway, let's get back into this one. We have been busy. It's a bloody miserable February day down here in Cornwall, but I've been busy. As you can see, I've given it a bloody good wash, and I've got some news on progress and what we're going to do from here on in. Talking of what we're going to do, you may have noticed, if you're a subscriber as well, we've changed the name of the channel ever so slightly from Budget Bucket List to just Budget Cars and Bikes, just because I think it's easier to get your teeth around, and not necessarily all the things that we're doing now are in my bucket list. So I just thought, let's just be straight down the line now and just call it Budget Cars and Bikes, because they are pretty much all of them budget cars and bikes. Hope that makes sense. And I've also made a new Twitter page and a new Facebook page. They're on, the links for those are on the banner photograph for the YouTube site, and I'll stick them in the description as well. So if you would be really, really kind to, one, subscribe if you haven't, two, give the video a thumbs up, and follow me on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. All the links are in the description. Right, that's the advertising out of the way. What have we been doing? I've opened the bonnet so we can start there, basically. I had this battery out purely to have a look and see what was going on here. Again, if you remember the first video, I started poking about here and I opened up this bloody great hole, but it's not all bad. I mean, as you can see, this part of the metal here is actually solid. It's just the little cover that goes over. I took it to the MOT station. They said, look, we can do that for about 100 quid. And then I found a mobile mechanic who said, look, I'll come to your door and I'll do it for 35 quid. So guess which way I'm going with that. I put it all back together now, and I mean, you never know, they might not even spot that. I very much doubt it, but you never know. And I also spray painted the heat shield as well for the downpipes on the exhaust, and basically gave it a bit of a spruce up underneath here. I haven't done anything about this paintwork here. I'm not really sure what to do. I could start sanding this and then re-lacquer the whole thing, but I don't know if I'm going to open up a big can of worms. I also painted these. Again, if you remember the first video, these are really rusty, so I'm hoping that's going to make some sense. I took them off, spray painted them with Amorite, and now they look lush. And I sanded and polished the headlights because they were an advisory on a previous MOT, unknown substance reducing light output, that kind of thing on the MOT, so I thought I may as well just do that. And I've given it a wash. Let me just put this bonnet down a second, guys. And basically today I've been wandering around the car getting it ready for the MOT, because I think we're at that point now. I did put some new tyres on as well, as you'll be able to see there. I got that guy in Plymouth to drop them round. It was 80 quid for all 4 tyres, 48 quid to have them fitted at my local tyre shop, so just under 130 quid. But they're on there, there's 6mm on each one. There's not going to be any advisories or any nonsense at all with these tyres. They're all perfect. And I've been around this morning checking light bulbs, making sure the windscreen wipers are good. Talking of which, I also took off, you'll remember from the first video again, these were really, really rusty. This was all faded grey, so I took it off, I took these off, I resprayed them, and I put some new windscreen wiper blades on as well, because there was a set of 3, I think, one for the back as well, which I replaced, and it was only 10 quid, and I had some Hammerite in a spray can, so I just did all that. And as I said, I've been looking at all the bulbs, making sure everything works, front fog lights, rear fog lights, number plate lights. Nothing worse than when you take it for an MOT and it fails on something stupid like one of the number plate bulbs is gone, or the one windscreen wiper is a bit smeary, whatever. So I tend now, and I would advise you guys to do what you can, pre-check everything, because it just saves a lot of hassle, doesn't it, really? And I've also given the interior a massive clean. As you can see, it's looking so much nicer in here now. There are mats coming as well, but I've given it a, well, there's the stuff there. If you remember, this is the stuff that I did a review on as well, this kind of ecological moonshine quick shine detailer. I'm still using that, so thanks to the guys for that. And we've made everything look much, much nicer. Everything is as it should be. There was a nice bit of mould on that seat there, but as you can see, that's looking a hell of a lot better. I also bought one of these. Don't know if you guys have used these before. I bought this bubblegum scented car freshener. I wouldn't recommend it. The whole car stinks of bloody bubblegum. Not my idea of fun, but it's there and it smells a lot better. That cigarette cigarette smell that we spoke about in the first video, all gone. It doesn't smell of anything but bubblegum now, which is a good and a bad thing. And I've done the door cards as well. I think you'll agree they've all come up nice and everything works as it should do. All the door shuts, everything else has been cleaned. I haven't polished it. All I've done is literally wash it. And I'm not quite sure what's happened here. Obviously, when I rubbed this with something, I've rubbed something off, so we'll have to clean that up as well. Anyway, I digress. I've got to polish the windows. The only thing I found for the MOT was just in underneath there, where this light's been clunked. It's got a tiny little crack in the lens. I'm hoping that's not going to fail its MOT, because that would be tragic. But you've probably got to buy the whole bloody thing, haven't you? And finding one might be a little bit awkward. But the bulb's gone on that side. Every other bulb, the horn, the windscreen wipers, the lights, everything works except one bulb in there, which is arriving tomorrow. And I've also noticed I don't have a key for this locking cover for the spare wheel, which is... I'm not going to worry about it, because I've got RAC cover for me if I'm in the car. I'll leave it to the new owner to decide what they're going to do. If I keep the car for a little while, again, I'm with RAC, so it's not a problem. Wheels have come up beautifully. Again, going back to the first video, you remember there was a lot of brake dust on these front wheels. Now, no, none whatsoever. I used, again, the Moonshine Quick Detailing wheel cover, wheel cleaner rather, and it's come up really nice, isn't it? So the only thing I've got to do really is change that bulb in there to make sure that's right. I mean, I did change it for some bulbs I had already, but they were too bright. They were almost like fog light bright, so it looked really odd, because the brake lights are up here and the fog lights are down here, as are the side lights. So when I put this bulb, I don't know what bulb it was. I just found one in a box somewhere, but it was no good. So I've got to wait for that, and I've got to wash off this little bit of crap here. But apart from that, as I said, it is ready. Could do with a bit more of a clean inside here. I mean, I've got to just quickly do these door shuts and stuff like that, but little inconsequentials. Effectively, what's happening is it's going to go in for its MOT. You guys are going to come with me. I'm going to stick a camera on that headrest there, the 4K Acaso camera. You're going to come with me to the MOT station. We're going to take it for a little ride. We'll have a little discussion about what I think of it, because I've not really driven it yet. We'll pull up at the MOT station, then we'll cut back in when they give it back to me, and we'll find out exactly what's wrong with it, if anything's wrong with it, and what we've got to repair. I've also ordered some wheel bearings, because I know that the wheel bearing's gone on the passenger side. The guy, the mobile mechanic that turned up, he confirmed that he thought it was that side there. He'll do that for 30 quid. The wheel bearing was 10 quid, I think, something like that. So less than 50 quid, wheel bearing sorted, 130 quid for the wheels to be sorted, as in the tyres to be sorted. So we're still sub 200 quid in what we've spent so far. I think we're at a total so far today, as we stand, at 850 quid, but we've got to get the MOT done. So stand by. For you, it'll be a couple of seconds. For me, it'll be a few days, and we're going to take it for a little ride and go to the MOT station and find out exactly what we're going to have to spend, where we stand, and what we're going to do with this lovely car. All right, stand by, guys. So we're off, we're in the truck, and we are about to head off for this MOT, which is going to be a little bit scary, if I'm honest. If you can hear that beeping in the background, that's just the parking sensors, which always surprises me on a car of this age that it's actually got any. Just goes to show how well it was made in the first place. Anyway, we are off. This is the first time I've ever filmed inside a car. I'm hoping you guys are going to enjoy it. And we are off to, as I said, the MOT station. As you can see there as well, hopefully. Brand new wipers, so that's not a problem. The horn works, the lights work, everything is as it should be, in the respect that I've done all my requisite checks. I've checked that the light bulbs are all working. I've had to buy a couple of bulbs for the back as well, just where it had that little clunk. And I've done that, and everything, as I said, is working as it should be. So we're off. The first thing I can tell, obviously, I think I've mentioned it in previous videos, is the wheel bearing. It's completely shot on the left-hand side. Yeah, you might even be able to hear that rumble there. It's not great. It doesn't really do it until you get to a... Oh, let's get out of third. It doesn't really do it until you get above like 30-40 miles an hour, but it's definitely there. I've got the guy coming on Wednesday. I preempted the fact that this might need a little bit of work. We know it's got that little hole in the strut tower, excuse me, on the driver's side. Well, I think I pointed that out to you as well. I got a guy, as I said in the previous video, who's going to come and weld that up. And the wheel bearing, obviously, I've got the wheel bearing. I found a pair of them for 20 quid, I think, so we'll just use one of those. I thought it was easier to buy two as a pack, as a kit, than just buy one, just in case they decide to do the other two, or maybe it's actually both that are gone, and then at least I've got the spare one. So he's coming on Wednesday, but we're off, as I said, to the MOT station now, and we are going to find out exactly what the score is with this lovely little SUV and where it stands regarding the MOT and any work that might need doing on it. Luckily for me, the MOT station is about 1.5 miles from my house, so that's all nice and dandy. I don't have to worry too much about any of that kind of nonsense. But it's a nice drive so far. I can't tell you too much, obviously, because all I can hear at the moment is that rumbling wheel bearing, which is, as you can imagine, bloody annoying. But it's a lovely stance sitting up above everybody here. The seat does everything that my mum's RAV4. Oh, you can hear that wheel bearing now, can't you? It does everything that my mum's RAV4 seat does. It lifts up and down, obviously, for shorter and taller drivers. And it goes backwards and forwards, obviously, and the seat back, obviously, goes backwards and forwards as well. So you can adjust it, exactly where you need it to be, which is really nice. But generally speaking, we are really high up on this. The steering is incredibly light. Everything's right where you need it to be. The radio controls, you can see all the stuff that's going on there. The dials right in front of you. It's just really, really simplistically beautiful. I got a lot of time for these old SUVs. People say they're rust buckets and all the rest of it. Yeah, I guess they can be, but then can't everything. At the end of the day, this is getting on for 20 years old now, and it needs a bit of love for sure. I have noticed as well that it's not spluttering per se, but it's not running beautifully. It needs a good service. The oil is black, so for me, I would definitely give it an oil change and give it a filter change, all that kind of nonsense, air filter as well, maybe some new spark plugs. It's probably never had it. I've got no service history, as you know, so if it passes its MOT without any huge dramas, then we're going to give it a nice big service and then see what we're going to do with it. But we're about to pull up, guys, and to my local MOT station. I hope this is all working out nicely, because as I said, I've not filmed inside a car. Hello, big boy, just open your door on me then. That's nice, cheers for that. Oh, and then we got another one, typical bloody industrial estate, as you can see. Right, okay, so we're here pretty much, guys, at the MOT station. So we're going to pick back up. I'm going to park this car up, hopefully somewhere, and we're going to pick back up in a couple of hours and find out exactly what the score is with this beautiful little SUV and where it ended up regarding the MOT. All right, so again, for you, it'll be a couple of seconds, and for me, it's going to be a couple of hours. So catch up in, as I said, a couple of hours. We'll see exactly where we are, and I'll talk you through exactly how this MOT went. All right, see you in a minute. So where are we exactly with this MOT then, guys? Yeah, not great news. Obviously, it's been a couple of seconds for you. It's been a couple of hours for me. It's getting on for 2 o'clock now. It's not the end of the world. The things that I thought they would pick up on, they didn't. They didn't pick up on the wheel bearing, which I don't know whether that is an advisory or whether they even check wheel bearings. But you've got to be going, as I said, over a certain speed for it to become obvious anyway. So I'm not sure about all that. So what did it fail on? I'm going to stick it up now at the side of this screen, hopefully, and the failure sheet, that is, and then you can have a little look at that. Excuse the noise, I'm trying to do up windows because it's quite condensed in here. Yeah, I'm going to stick the, well, you've probably seen it now, the failure sheet, and then goes up bloody rumbling again. That is awful, isn't it? In fact, that sounds worse now than it did when I took it in there, oddly enough. Anyway, as you can see, there is a problem with this seal. There is a problem with the jacking point on the driver's side, I think he said, although I don't know whether that was even mentioned, but I've had a quick chat with him. Ultimately, the hole under the bonnet wasn't mentioned, and the wheel bearing, which is now bloody ludicrously loud, wasn't mentioned. I've been quoted roughly 100 quid to get those done, and he's just quoted me 250 quid ballpark figure to do all that welding, but I don't think that includes the exhaust, because he said, look, you're best off just buying the link pipe, as it were, for the exhaust. He said it's only tiny little pinholes in the exhaust. He said so it's easier just to buy another bit, cut the bolts off and bolt the new bit in. It kind of annoys me slightly though that it would fail on just a couple of pinholes in the exhaust, you know, it is what it is. I asked him if he wanted to weld it up at the same time as doing the race. He said it was easier just to buy a new bit, cut the bolts off, put a couple of new U-clamps in there, I guess, and have that done. So that's where we are right now. 250 quid is going to get it sorted, basically, which isn't the end of the world. I budgeted for this to be 300 quid to get it through its MOT, and that would then owe me 1,200 quid all in. That's buying the car, getting it to my house, getting the tyres, getting the MOT for 12 months, all the rest of it, it would owe me 1,200 quid. And I'm going to be able to do that for about 1,150, 1,200 quid. So we're still within budget. I'm going to cut the video short now, and we will catch up. Again, it'll be about a week for me, but we'll catch up and I'll tell you exactly what I decided to do, whether I decided to let this Facebook Marketplace mobile mechanic guy do all the work, or whether I just take it back there and let them do it. Part of me is kind of tempted just to say, screw it, let the Facebook mechanic do the wheel bearing and let them do the rest of the welding, because that's 300 quid, isn't it? They didn't mention the wheel bearing, as I said, but you know, I want to get it done because it sounds bloody terrible. But I'll let you know. So we're going to cut it off here, and as I said, a couple of seconds for you, and we'll be back as soon as I know a little bit more. All right, stand by. So, where's it gone? Has it been stolen? Have I sold it? Have I dumped it off a pier somewhere because it was just too much for me to cope with? As you can see, the Shogun has gone. It's not here. It's not broken down. It's not been sold. I haven't given it away. I haven't blown it up because it was such a bloody drama. It's gone off to a garage, basically to have all that welding work done. Not cheap, not easy, but it's got to be done for the MOT. Not something I was expecting either. So I'm going to stop this video right here, basically, and I'm going to make another video when it's all been done, and we are going to talk all about the facts and figures. Basically, we're going to do a price rundown on what it cost me to buy it, all the fees, how much it was to get it back here to this lovely little parking area, and how much I'm expecting to get for it. And basically, is it worth buying a near 20-year-old SUV, you know, a Japanese 4x4 in that respect, or is it just too much of a money pit because they are prone to rusting? We're going to discuss all of that in a drive along on the last in this series of 3 videos on the Shogun Pinin. So I hope you kind of stay tuned for that. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing that. You'll find out exactly what happened to this car and what my thoughts are on it in the respect of, should you buy one? You know, is it worth it? And as I said, we'll discuss all that in a little drive along video in a couple of weeks' time. I'm hoping to get the car back in the next couple of days. And as I said, we're going to cut this one short here. And if you haven't subscribed, please consider doing that. Give the videos a thumbs up in this series if you would. That really helps. And as I said, a couple of weeks' time, we'll find out, was it worth it? You know, or should you just bide your time and buy something a little bit newer? Are these really money pits, or are they good investable value? Find out in a couple of weeks. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Take care.